Hello, everyone. This is OG. Very, very happy to have all of you today. Very exciting topic. I am with Alex Leonida. I know Alex for a long time, many, many years. You guys know that in my previous life, when I used to work for large corporation, I used to track a lot of projects. I used to do a lot of extremely big investment, and tracking cost and tracking value is a big issue. Uh, we know that some people are failing to do that. So today, this is exactly the topic that we're going to have with Alex. So Alex is the founder and CEO of 𝐸𝐞𝐜𝐡. We'll talk about that platform later. As I said, I know Alex for a very long time, many years. This platform that he has built is solving exactly that problem, the problem of tracking value creation when you have a lot of ongoing projects, technology project, right? So Alex, thanks to have you today. Maybe you can spend a couple of minutes to introduce yourself, please.
Yeah, sure. That was a great intro. Thanks, Olivia. Yeah, so I've been in the automation and AI space for about 10 years or so, working with multinational companies around the world. And I think in total, I've probably delivered about £100 million worth of cost reduction or cost improvements. And that's across various different industries. And yeah, I think one of the benefits of doing that over the last 10 years is that I've been able to see where the gaps are in how companies are implementing new technologies, whether it's RPA, AI, ERP, you name it. And the same one kind of kept coming up every single time, which is what led me to found 𝐸𝐞𝐜𝐡. But I think the key thing for today's call is just, how can companies actually realize the value from their AI investments? And that's what we'll look to speak about today.
Yes, exactly. And today we talk about the value and the return investment of AI. Again, for people that have been around for a while, we used to have those similar conversation around previous wave of technology. So this is not something new. This is something that has not been solved yet. We tend to get very excited about the technology. We tend to bleed money around technology. And then at some point, if we are not able to articulate the value, project stops. Sometimes teams are being dismantled and, bad thing happens. So in context of AI, I would say it's even more crazy because the amount of spending that we see, Gartner is projecting a huge amount of spending. And by spending, I would say all the layers from infrastructure to software to human resources, right? We see crazy numbers. And we know that a lot of that investment in context of AI is actually not correctly tracked, and we don't really see, or we are not really sure that we are going to see a return investment, right? So is that number about at least a third, potentially even more? I would say, frankly, like half of all those investments are not correctly tracked. Is that number a surprise for you?
I mean, I'm surprised it's that high after all these years doing the same thing, right? You'd think we would have learned our mistakes by now. No, so that was a good point you mentioned. So Gartner predicts, I think it was AI spending to triple to about $270 billion by 2030. And of that, I think there was another study you mentioned saying that only a third of companies or CFOs are actually reliably measuring the impact of their AI investments. And I think that's partly due to the fact that they're measuring things like hours saved and activity metrics and vanity metrics without actually understanding how it maybe reduces headcount or increases output. They're not tying it back to the P&L, and I'm seeing that in a lot of my conversations over the last year or so, especially to do with AI.
And the fact that it is AI, is this creating an extra level of complexity? So, for example, speed, right? Everything is going super crazy.
Yeah.
So do we see here that it's the same problem as before, but way worse because it's actually the cycle is much faster?
So I would say, from my experience, it's the same track that we were falling in with ERP, RPA, CRMs, even the lot, right? it's just now a hell of a lot faster because of the amount of money and FOMO flowing into this technology. The tools are so much more accessible now to everyone. So whereas RPA, I think you needed a lot of stage gates. You did have some community-based versions available, but it was very slow adoption across the company. Now it's, you give everyone a Gemini license or a ChatGPT license, and you just have at it. And now you've got like shadow IT cropping up at 10x the speed that we had before, just because of the accessibility. I think there was another study done where it was proved that employees were using personal AI productivity tools versus more so than company branded ones, purely because they were just so much more comfortable using it in their own time. And I think that just opens up a whole number of doors of issues that we need to solve, especially around governance. The governance is scaling faster than the technology and the adoption.